So welcome to Joe Mucci.
Thank you, Alan.
Alan Bourke here again, episode 7 of the Perth Property Pod. Last episode we talked about finding and buying a property and getting to the stage of saying this is the one for me. So the topic of episode 7 is actually buying. How do you go about buying a property and trying to demystify this process? I think the first topic really, Joe, should be what is the paperwork? What do I need to have in my hands before I write an offer acceptance?
Absolutely. So all supporting documents, obviously we're looking at, are we buying a green title or are we buying a strata? Obviously strata, there's a few different types, but all strata title properties now, require that you receive all the notable strata information through what's called as a pre-contractual disclosure statement, or PDS.
That's the strata side of things.
Yes. And obviously a copy of the title. So for a strata, you need a copy of the title itself and all strata and supporting documents. And for a green title, you just need a copy of the title, and sometimes there might be a supporting diagram or plan that comes with it. So really, there's all that information that pertains to the property prior to getting to an offer stage, or at time of offer.
Okay. So let's just drill in a bit more. Let's look at the strata title property.
Yes.
You have a plan called a strata plan.
Yes.
And a lot of people get caught with this in the fact that they believe the yard or the visitor bay is actually their bay.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to really look at a strata plan, which is the plan of the whole development. It could be 2, it could be 8 or 10. And look at the actual lot and see if the land and or the carport or the garage is a part lot.
Yes.
PT, PT3, PT4, whatever the lot numbers are, you own that, all right? If it's shared or it is not notated, you probably don't own it.
Yeah, it may say for use of.
Yes, which is quite irrelevant.
Which is irrelevant, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or it doesn't say anything, it might just have a number on it. So you really need, you do need to drill down and understand if that is part of the square meterage, the floor space or the area that you're buying, which is part of your lot.
Yes. And that's important. You can add that stuff up. So you can say, well, the house is 120 square metres.
Mm-hmm.
The garage is 10 metres, whatever it be. The courtyard area is another 15 square metres. If I add all that together, there is a cumulative number that you'll see on the strata plan. And then you say, right, got it. That's all part of mine. If it doesn't add up, then talk to the agent.
Yes.
Yep.
And then that needs to be obviously defined and specified to you at time of offer. So exactly what you're buying.
So let's go to green title. Green title is something that isn't a strata, and they call it green because on the original titles they were coloured green. It was the old parchment title. It wasn't really anything scientific. It was just coloured green. It was purple title. Guess what colour they were?
Purple, then?
Yeah, you guessed it straight away. So also the title is very important. That is the core document as to what you're buying.
Yes.
So you've got to match together the recommendations or the representations of the agent to say it's 500 square metres to what is actually on the title. Some of the very old titles are in roods and perches and links and chains, believe it or not, dating right back to the 30s and 40s. You need to convert those, and Google will help you with all that, to match the square meterage and the links and the chains and the perches.
Yes.
But drill in a bit more into a title. Look at the second schedule, and on the second schedule you'll see things like covenants, restrictive covenants, benefit burden easements, memorials. So what do they mean? Easements is certainly something that's relatively common, whereby there's a sewer line along the back of the property, and the Water Corp has come along and said, hey, we need to have access on that, therefore you can't build on it or near it because we need to get to the pipes in case there's something wrong with the pipes. So that's a standard easement, and there's nothing unusual about that. But if you're planning to put a pool in the backyard, that can encroach upon what you're going to do with the pool. So make sure there's no easements if you're going to put a pool in. There's restrictive covenants. There's their height covenants. Mm-hmm. So if you want to go up and you want to put a second story on and you've got a restrictive covenant on the title, that should be a big red warning sign for you to go, wow, we might have a problem here. Memorials are other things whereby there's someone else with a right to claim, I guess is the way to say it, on the particular property that you need to have more information about.
Yes, one I've seen in that is an old mining right to say that under a certain depth, the government has access to the soil and whatever contents it pertains to. So
I remember in Attadale we sold one down there. You didn't have the right to mine clay.
Yes, so they're ancient ones, but they
that's
do
right.
exist. So, just to be clear on that, with a green title, you'll get a title and possibly a diagram or a plan that just shows what you're purchasing. And with a strata title, you still will get a title, but also the supporting strata plan and documents that come with it. So there will always be a title in whatever you're purchasing, but then it depends on whether it's green or strata.
Good. Okay, so let's say you're armed with the right information. You're full bottle, you want to buy the home. Okay. The pieces of paper that you need to put an offer in. Okay, we have a thing called a contract for sale of land via offer and acceptance. What does that mean? It's generally a 2-page document, nothing more than that, and it is an offer and an acceptance. And if you get an offer and it's accepted, it becomes a contract. So there's no other, as they are in the eastern states, another contract is entered into. No, we have very simple system here in WA. And it's one form that gets accepted. To added to that form, we traditionally add 3 annexures, don't we?
We do.
Want to go into what they might be?
All right. So there'll be a good working order annexure, and basically what that says is that all light fittings, all gas, electrical, plumbing fixtures and fittings will be in working order at the time of settlement, and the seller warrants those.
Yes.
Do we need to go into warrants? No, we don't. And then the next ones will be on those, obviously, a building inspection, so a structural building inspection, which gives you basically, puts your mind at ease that the property may not have any major structural defects to the main dwelling. And then the next one is a timber pest inspection, and that is obviously to make sure the property is not ridden with white ants or any other timber pests. We can drill into those.
We will be doing that in the next episode. We've got Ashley Coleman from BCIWA coming in to talk about building reports.
Fantastic.
So that's episode 8. So the process is that you set obstacles in your own course to say, if I can jump over finance, I can jump over building, I can jump over timber pest, and I can jump over working order, then I'll buy this property. So you literally put obstructions in your own way, so to speak, with conditions to make sure that everything's got to work well in order to get to the finish line of that of actually getting settlement. Yes. Okay, so the timelines, let's just discuss them for a sec. If you're going to get finance, traditionally look at 28 days to get finance.
Yeah, and obviously that's in consultation with your broker,
yep.
and obviously also the agent to find out, is this enough time for me to get my finance? If you've got a pre-approval in place in today's world, that's probably sufficient.
Yeah. So there's no point having a building report and paying these other costs, and traditionally the buyer pays those, and a building report is what, $650, $700, something like that nowadays. A timber pest, a couple of $100,
$300-400.
Are they? Yeah, a bit more. Let's get your finance organised to see if you can buy the home and then make your conditions thereafter. So traditionally we allow 4 weeks to get your finance, and then probably another week or so. Generally the building inspection companies will liaise with the termite pest people,
yes.
and they have one inspection for 2 different companies. So that makes it easier on the seller. It's all done and dusted in a period of time. Okay, and once they're all met, i.e. 4 to 5 weeks down the track, you have another 3 to 4 weeks then to settle, don't you?
Yeah, generally about a 21-day settlement. That way gives you, and that's from when your finance is approved. So that's from the letter that comes through from your broker or bank to say, yes, congratulations, your finance has been accepted and approved. That you have about 21 days. That allows for settlement agents, banks to prepare the documentation, transfer of land, which basically brings the property out of the seller's name into your name and ready for settlement date. So about 3 weeks.
So we'll have another episode where we'll interview a settlement agent. That will be probably episode number 10 or 11, and we'll go into more details about that. So,
absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about the process, Joe. You sit with your agent. Sometimes you do it electronically using DocuSign or Sign or whatever the other electronic processes are.
Yes.
But in most cases, you're sitting there with the agent. and you've got to put an offer in. Okay, the most important questions, I guess, is, am I doing this on my own? In other words, am I the only bidder on this, or am I one of a multiple number of bidders?
Yes, very important question, and understanding, where do you sit? Are there other offers on the table already? Are you the last person to come in, or are you the first person making an offer?
Yep.
But your communication with the agent is essential at this point.
And it is important to know, if you're the number one buyer in, you must remind the agent that if another offer comes in, you want to know about it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And also understanding when your offer is going to be presented. Yes. Are they going to sit on your offer until after the weekend? Is the seller available for the offer to be presented to them in the next 24 to 48 hours? And just so that you're clear on where your position is, and as you said, Alan, am I going to be in competition with another offer that's possibly coming in tomorrow or the day after?
Because I know we've all put offers on properties, and the minute you write the offer, you walk out and go, gee, I hope I know in the next hour. Yes. And Murphy's Law always dictates the minute you're trying to find the seller, they've jumped on a plane or a train or something, or they've gone camping, and we have hell's own job trying to do it. I remember writing an offer on a property in Onslow Street in South Perth, and I walked out with the offer and acceptance. I could see the plane that the sellers were in on the way to Las Vegas. So this is going to take a while to find this owner, but it happens more often than not. So you've got to be a little bit tolerant. And certainly don't put any pressure on the seller, because they've got enough stress going on. You don't want to adversely affect your offer, because some people will say, I want an answer within 3 hours or 5 hours or 12 hours or something. It actually doesn't help their offer, does it?
No, it doesn't. And as I said, the communication with the agent is pretty important at this point, just to understand that, hey, your expectations will be met, but this is the time frame that you'll hear back from them.
Okay. So let's run two scenarios. Scenario number one, you're the only game in town and your offer is being presented to the seller, and then we'll talk about multiple offers and what your strategy could be there. Okay. So let's talk about number one. Property's on the market, pick a number, 500,000, you're offering 480,000, pick a number. The rules of engagement are these, that your offer gets presented. We try and get to the owner, certainly within 24 hours, don't we?
We do.
Yep. And we physically present this. We don't just ring in and say, I've got an offer over the phone. We physically want to find the owner and present it, the document to them. So the rules of engagement are these, that if the owner says, yeah, look, that's fair, and they accept that, you've got yourself a contract, you've bought yourself a home subject to your conditions. In a lot of cases, buyers start a little low to allow for a bit of negotiation. The sellers say, well, look, I'm sorry, that's not enough. They've got two rights, haven't they? They can either accept it, reject, look at three, accept, reject, or counter. So that, let's say they don't reject your offer and they counter offer to you. Let's say in this example they go to 490, pick a number. They initial that, it comes back to you, represented to you physically, and if you say, yep, look, I'm happy with that, you initial it, you've got yourself a deal.
Yes.
All right. If you change that again and you counter offer, all of this is in play, and whilst this is happening, there is no contract and there is no right that you have the first right of refusal or anything like this. So another offer comes in, very mindful of this, another offer comes in at 495 and the agent goes, I'm sorry, I now have to present the other offer. You're now in competition. You don't have any exclusive period to negotiate your deal. You're now in competition.
Yeah. And that's why I think, as we've mentioned before, communication with the agent, and also remembering that time is of the essence in these scenarios, that, when you do get a counter offer back from a seller, and as you said, let's say you come in at 480, we're asking 500, and you have offered that your counter offer is 490, and then that's sitting with you. So there's a $10,000 difference between your offer at 480 and the owner's counter offer or the seller's counter offer at 490, and you sit on that for a couple of days. You do run the risk, as you said, Alan, of another buyer coming in at, let's say, 495.
Yes.
Unbeknownst to them, that your offer has been counted at 490, and you don't know that the offer's coming in at 495. So if you are not coming to a decision in a short period of time, you do run the risk of missing out on that property. And it's really important to keep in communication with the agent, let them know where your decision making is at, and making a decision as quickly as you can.
The other part of it is that both buyer and seller at any stage up until the time the contract has been agreed in writing can retract their offer.
That's very important.
You as a buyer can change your mind and retract it with a phone call and a text to the agent. The seller can do the same. so that they could counter back at 490. You sit on it for a day or two, and they go, oh, you know what, I'm over this, I'm done. And they, with a phone call, they retract their 490, and you're back to square one.
Yes.
So they're good rights. They make sense on both sides, but you need to know that it doesn't stay there forever until you might want to make a decision.
And just on that, when making offers on properties, it's very essential to make an offer on one property and one property only at a time.
Yeah.
So if you are interested in a few properties, make sure that you are communicating with that agent and letting them know. And if you find something else, it's really important to withdraw the offer on property number one and then redirect your energy to property number two, not to have multiple offers going at the same time.
Okay, now, Joe, let's discuss the multiple offer situation. This is a highly stressful time for buyers and agents, and the seller. That's right. So let's assume that you are sitting down with the agent, and either you've been informed that you're offer number one, you're offer number two, offer number three, whatever it be. The agent traditionally will let you know that you are going to be in competition with 1, 2, 3, or 4, and sometimes last night there was 5 offers on a property, so it's not unusual. And what then becomes the buyer's strategy?
Well, the buyer's strategy should be to make their best offer first up or straight away. And again, advice from the agent, you should really, best practice, be put into what's called a multiple offer situation and sign an annexure, so that you're fully aware that that's where it's at, and that will basically say that you may have one opportunity or one opportunity only to put your best foot forward. So I guess our advice there is to offer strong and think about the conditions, the timeframes, and it's not always about the dollars, but obviously the dollars that you're putting forward, and knowing that the offer I've made may be my only opportunity, which means that if I miss out on this opportunity, I know that I've put all my chips on the table.
That's right. So your posture then is, if you were going to be in a single offer situation, you offered a certain amount and the vendor came back with another amount, and you said, yes, that's going to be where I rest up. You've really got to look at that rest up number and say, right, that's what I've got to offer first thing. And just double test yourself and say, well, what if they sold it 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, whatever it be more? Do I just wave it goodbye, or what I say, if only I've gone a couple of thousand more?
Absolutely. And look, there may be an opportunity, and this is not always going to happen, but let's say there are 3 offers on the table and the agent goes to the seller and says, hey, Mr. Seller, I've got 3 offers, this is what they are. There may be an opportunity, and there's a few scenarios here. The seller has the right to go back to one offer and deal with that one offer and counter offer, negotiate with that one offer.
Yep.
Scenario number 2 is that the agent will come back to all 3 buyers and say that a seller is giving you one opportunity and one opportunity only to increase your offers without counter offering.
Yep. Otherwise, they're all very close.
They're all very close. Now, that may not happen.
Yep.
So don't bank on that happening, because, as I said, if the opportunity doesn't arise, you may fall short and miss out on the home. But it may get to a stage that the agent comes back to the buyers and says, you've got one opportunity to increase your offers or change the conditions. You've got 24 hours to do so, or you've got half a day to do so. And then you can maybe get the opportunity to increase your offer or sharpen the pencil, but don't bank on that. So
I remember putting an offer on something a while back, and I got a call from the agent. He said, oh, good news. I said, oh, great, I bought it. He said, no, you're on the short list.
No, that is the short list.
It was then down to 2, and the other buyer was sharper in his pencil than I was, and I missed out on a great opportunity. So we've all do it, and always wish we'd gone a bit higher.
But that's the message, I guess, is put your best foot forward, put your best offer forward straight up. Go all in on where you will be content on missing out on that property with a number that says, hey, that's my walk away price. If I don't get it for that number, I'm confident and comfortable that we can just walk away and look for the next property.
Yeah, they paid too much, so to speak, the other people.
Yes.
Okay, so let's assume, let's cross our fingers, and you've taken all our fabulous advice and you've bought the property. Okay, so before the settlement agents get involved, and we'll discuss that with him later, you've now made conditions upon your offer.
Mm-hmm.
You're off to see your broker, and the broker will organise your finance within the 28 days we recommended. You're off to see the building company, the white ant company, etc. After that, another 7 days, you'll get a report from them, and once you're happy with all that, you then authorise it to the settlement agent and say, yep, that's all fine, it's structurally sound and hasn't been eaten by termites, it's not going to fall over. The last bit on the whole process is that of the working order condition. What do buyers do there?
So basically, within a 7-day period from settlement, once that's been booked on, we conduct what we call as a final inspection. That final inspection is generally carried out with the agent present or somebody from the agency, where you walk around and test all gas, electrical, plumbing fixtures and fittings to make sure that they're in working order, as at the same time as when you purchase the property. Obviously, that may not be a process that you go through when you inspect a home, but you assume, should that clause be on the contract, that everything will be in working order.
Yep. So just summarising that, it's all gas, electrical and plumbing. It's not squeaky hinges on doors or drawers or anything else. It's those three items.
Correct.
Gas,
So the lights turn on, power points work, toilets flush, hot water system works, and water comes out of all the taps.
Yeah, that's right. And hot water comes out where it's supposed to.
Where it's supposed to.
That's fine. Okay, so the next episode we will talk about building inspections. We'll have settlement agents discuss their process and how they protect your rights. But I think we've summarised the buying of real estate and the purchasing and offering over the last 2 episodes. So, Joe Mucci, thank you to your involvement in the whole process.
Thanks, Al.
And we'll see you at the next episode.
Look forward to it.